lovely.
Yay, good morning.
Thank you. Oh my goodness.
You too.
Because I've known you for a while on social media, and I've just sort of, and I knew you on Twitter and on Instagram, but didn't know that was the same person. And then I had this moment like,
That's that guy. Yes.
One of my favorites. Look at that. One of my favorites also because it was great for doing a bookmark with the cover. It was really good.
Such a good bookmark. I love that one.
It was perfect for that. So how are you on? Is it rainy where you are? Where are you? Are you in New South Wales?
Sydney, yeah.
You are, yeah, okay. Because I kind of thought in my head you were, but yeah, I didn't actually know.
Yes, the big smoke. No, it's it's kind of really gloomy. It was pouring all night, and I think it's meant to be raining like literally all week.
Yes.
Which is very weird for us, but of course there's lots of weird weather things going on all the time now.
It's supposed to be La Nina this summer.
Yeah,
which always just makes me think we deserve a festival of some sort.
Something other than just buckets of rain.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah, everything starts to smell really bad. Anyway. So I never start at it at the beginning. These are just chats, but obviously certain questions should be answered, as in, obviously you've edited Underdog and you will go backwards after, but going forwards, you have a new contract. I'm so excited.
I do. It's it's crazy. It's all been very surreal. I think especially like this year to have, some insanely good news like that is just kind of mind blowing. And it came at a really good time when I'd been sort of working from home for 6 months and kind of just a bit, everything was fine, but you just get it into that sort of a bit of a funk, and then that all kind of happened, and it was just really, really surreal, as I'm sure it is for anyone with their debut novel as well. But yeah, it's so exciting.
Now the title is Anything But Fine. I love that.
Anything But Fine, yeah. It took a really, really long time to find the title, actually. I think it's one of my worst skills as a writer. And I had like this massive list. It's just really hard, isn't it? I don't know why.
So hard.
Yeah, I had this massive list in my notes on my phone of like 800 different things that I was like, maybe that could be a title. And then in the end, they were just like words that I was like, oh, that's kind of relevant to the story. And my agent was like, these are not titles. And I was like, okay.
Fair enough. Yeah, no, Peter Lyra was nearly called, I think I submitted it as Discord because of the meaning of the word, but I had no idea that Discord was so many other things that I've since then discovered. Terrible title. Danielle was really upfront about that when I sat down to pitch to her. She was like, oh, great, hate the title. I like the book.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thank goodness didn't go ahead with that. And Penguin too, so you're going to be having a whole big... Be good.
Yeah, it's all just, kind of a dream come true. It was, I never expected to be choosing between publishers either. I thought, I'd be begging someone to please publish it. So then sort of having the choice then fall in my hands was quite stressful, actually, because I was like, what if I choose the wrong thing? And, in the end, I think I was just like, all of the publishers in Australia are so fantastic. You kind of can't really make a wrong decision in the end.
Yeah, I think you're right. And it is thrown to end up with a choice. I did not have any idea what to do with that at all. How did you end up going? And I love your short story in there. I know you edited it, but you also wrote your own story, which I just flew through in 2 seconds because I was just so, that moment where you're like, no, don't, no. I guess this was my experience of reading it. And then, of course, it was like by the end. Sorry, just in case people think it's like, but it's not. But so obviously performing takes a role in your story. How did you go from performing to writing?
Yeah, I don't really even know the answer to that so much. I think when I started performing when I was about 14, so it was kind of late-ish, you know, compared to a lot of people who end up doing it professionally. And before that, I was very much just your standard kind of school nerd, book nerd kind of kid. And so I had always been writing a lot when I was younger. But then once I started performing, like it's pretty all consuming. And so then that completely fell to the wayside, basically. So then from 14 till about, I don't know, like 28, my entire focus in life was just on performing. And I, you know, was really lucky to study at some brilliant places. And I had some really awesome contracts with big musicals touring around Australia and stuff like that. And so I kind of, yeah, I was so busy doing that I didn't think about anything else, basically. And then I got to a certain age where suddenly I was getting less jobs. There was much younger and fresher people to give, you know, all those kind of ensemble roles to that I was going for, which I think is something that happened to a lot of my friends, which it kind of feels really gross when you get to about 28 and they're just like, you're old news.
Oh, you're old. Oh my
and I was like, no, I'm not. We're all friends already. You know me. You know I'm employable. Give me a job, but they wouldn't. And so then I kind of had to be like, what else is there? Because I think as well, it's in performing arts, it's very much that thing of your life just rests solely in the hands of someone else. Like it's someone's whim on the day of an audition, whether or not you get a job, you know, all of that sort of stuff. Your life is kind of not your own. And I got pretty frustrated with that. And so I was like, what can I do myself? What can I take control of? And so I was like, maybe I'll write a book, which, you know, in hindsight seems kind of stupid because that also is largely not in your control. But yeah, so then I was like, yeah, maybe I'll get back into writing. And then I was living in Melbourne at the time, and I, you know, so lucky that community down there. There are so many events, obviously not so much this year, but you know, historically there's such a wonderful writing community in Melbourne, and so many festivals and conferences and that. So I just kind of, you know, dived headfirst into all of that, and yeah, it kind of became my new everything. And I moved away from performing, which ended up being a really great decision, I think.
Wow. And so, but you didn't, I'm sitting here kind of half just completely appalled that what I guess we assume are rumors, you know, that when you get to a certain age, you won't get work or whatever is actually true. So that's just a bit like heartbreaking. But also we assume you will start to teach, but obviously that doesn't work numbers wise. You can't all go from performing to teaching because, you know, firstly, you might not want to, but also there's only so many teaching jobs.
I did teach for a bit. Yeah, exactly. I did, yeah, and I really like teaching. And so I did teach for, I think it ended up being a couple of years, kind of part-time, while I was still sort of auditioning for shows. But, you know, when my heart wasn't quite in it, I was teaching a lot, working mainly with full-time students, so who'd already left school and were pursuing performing professionally, which I love, working with those kind of kids. So I did that for a bit, but it's pretty hard to earn enough money doing that unless you're doing it full time, you know, and at 7 different dance schools. It can be pretty hard for that to add up to an actual income.
Yeah.
So
unlike publishing, you know, one book and you're set for life.
And you're set for life. It's done. We can all retire now and just live lives of leisure. But yeah, you know, and teaching is so rewarding, but it again is also pretty all consuming when you do need to, make it a career. So I was kind of doing other random part-time jobs that eventually led to, you know, my role in publishing as well, which was also kind of completely unexpected and came out of nowhere. But everything's fallen into place, and now everything is just books, really, which is great.
Great. It's great. You've got an amazing shelf behind you. I love it. Like
I know, right?
So many titles. It's wonderful.
Yeah, it's fun. It's been ever expanding, that one. I get in trouble every time I buy a new book from my husband. He's like, "There's no room." I'm like, "Yeah, but We could just get another shelf, right?
More shelves, you'll be fine. You can double stack when you need to. Donate.
Exactly.
I'm a terrible supporter of the purchasing of many books. Sorry, not any help at all. So you went to Byron Bay as well recently. You how do I know all this? Sorry, I'm not like a stalker or anything.
No, it's Instagram. We all know everything.
Instagram just like bumps your stuff up, I think, because it's like, and I think it knows I like Byron Bay. So
yeah, it would. It knows everything.
Yeah, it does. It's a bit scary. I watched one guinea pig video and it sends me endless guinea pig videos, and I keep telling it no, that those ones are a bit icky. Anyway, sorry, go on. Byron Bay.
Yeah, Byron Bay. Yeah, it was just a beautiful week. And, you know, obviously we're so lucky here to even be able to go on a holiday at the moment. And we're really lucky that there's somewhere like Byron within state boundaries. But it's one of my favorite places. I've gone up there several times to take myself on like a little writing retreat at various times, and up to Byron Bay Writers Festival and stuff. And I don't know, I know it's become like super touristy and it's kind of probably not what it used to be, but I feel like it just has a really lovely creative energy up there with, you know, the beach and the good food and, you know, the kind of hippies and travelers. And I think it just, I don't know, I always feel really good when I'm there creatively, which is really nice.
Yeah, it is. And I know what you mean about the touristy, and I guess we are them, like the tourist. I know, and I'm Brisbane, so we're sort of semi-local, but not. But, you know, and people who live down there, or friends I have who live there or normally live in Mullumbimby, it's just, it is actually the thing that it says it is. It's just that it's got this other layer, and it's not even touristy. It's like there's this really posh layer at the top. So it's got like, it's like there's a little bit of Noosa floating around up above Byron Bay now.
Yes, there is a little bit of Noosa.
You know, it's a little bit of Noosa going on, but that's okay. That's okay. I love the caravan park there. I always stay at that caravan park.
Yeah.
Well, apart from the one time we got engaged in Byron Bay. I love lighthouses. I'm like, love lighthouses. And so we both very
It's a good lighthouse too.
Yeah, we didn't quite manage and I didn't have a ring yet. And so I had this like big Byron Bay, like goofy jet. It was so funny. It was really
Love that. So was the proposal at the lighthouse?
Yeah. But then we kind of came back via Mullumbimby and had massages at this like retreat, which was really nice. I've never done that, but it was really, really nice. And then came back up, we had a music night. We had all these friends over who all play and we sing really badly and stuff like that. And we were just like these like relaxed kind of, we were very Byron Bay that night. It was really funny. Lovely weekend.
I feel it's very easy to get in that mood when you're there.
Yeah, I've missed it. And it is just over the border, so I'm out now. I can't really.
I know. Oh, no, you can go down there, I think, can't you?
Can we now? Did they move the border?
I think they opened up that little top part, I think. Because when we were there, our friend from Brisbane came down to visit us, which was delightful.
That's so funny.
So lucky.
I just think Queensland's hilarious. It's like, can we just push the border to where we want it to be when we want it to be there, but then we'll bring it back later.
Yeah.
Fine. Not a problem.
No.
I can't think. Oh no, I had one more question, and it's the one I'm not supposed to ask because it's really inappropriate. I don't know if you know me very well, but I'm really good at being inappropriate. And it was that, and this is what I was trying to explain, like, you to my teenage daughter. I was like, oh, I'm talking to Tobias Madden on the weekend today. They look like models. I was like, and the question was, do you find it hard to be taken seriously as a creative, talented writer? You guys are really, really pretty.
Well, firstly, thank you. That's a lovely compliment. And I will preface this by saying that I don't see myself that way at all. And I think that spending my whole life as an actor, everyone is very beautiful. So, you know,
it's a professional thing. Like, you need to be this professional.
Yeah, it is. And so I think in that field, you know, it's almost an expectation. So it has never even entered my mind, really. But then, I don't know, like I feel like I'm not a real writer yet because I don't have a proper book out or anything. So I feel like I haven't had to navigate that in any way. And it's never, I don't know, it's never come up before.
It's like, oh, okay, now I get it. Why you end up with a headshot to die for it. It's like, hang on a minute. Authors who aren't published yet can't afford headshots like that. What's going on? So then I was like,
no,
okay, well, makes sense now.
I actually really need to update that. That's pretty old now, to be honest. One of my friends, she, every time I share that headshot, she's like, get a new headshot. We've seen this one before. I'm like, I know, I will, I promise. I'm just waiting until I have a reason. But now I have a reason, so I will update that.
Well, now you need like a writer's one that's kind of slightly dodgy. You need to look a little bit more awkward. We'd prefer, you know, a bit like roughed up. You need some like coffee splatters or some wine. Or we need like maybe on your phone, like kind of.
Yeah, and like I am very awkward in a photo shoot. I hate photo shoots. Like when you see, you know, one headshot like that, that's after you've had a like 3-hour photo shoot, and 99% of the photos are very awful. So.
The photo shoot thing is really hard, but you're prepared for that. So you're going to do the publicity side so easily compared to the rest of us who are kind of scrambling to catch up.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I guess like I'm obviously very extroverted, and I love talking to people, and I love talking about myself and all of that sort of stuff, and talking about books and writing. Like I love that, and you know, part of my job is publicity, so I feel like I've got my head around the whole thing. But I don't know, it is different talking about your own book. I don't know, do you find it hard to talk about yours in like a way that makes you seem like you're very on top of things and know exactly what you're saying and not rambling? And
really hard, because everyone will assume like, oh, well, if you've got a PhD in young adult fiction, you'll know all of that. And I'm like, but no, that's not how I'm supposed to talk about my own book. You want me to talk about like me and my journey? I don't remember any of that. Or what does it mean? I'm like, I don't know. You tell me what it means. What does it mean to you? I don't know. But you do learn your script. You learn your responses, but it is really different to just talking about. Well, I'll talk underwater. I'm okay with that. It's whether I'm saying something relevant.
That's the thing. Yeah. Which I feel like you do. When I messaged you the other day about your So You Want to Be a Writer podcast interview, that I found that so fascinating. Like the story of Peter Lyra, I haven't heard a publishing journey like that before. I found that really interesting.
It's really bizarre.
Don't you think? I found it so cool how you were just like, I've got to write this book for this conference, and then you just write a book. I'm like, I find that really incredible. And then you have to read it 7,000 times.
I know. Well, I'm outside of it more by then. I hardly ever read it right through, like, because I'd cry. So I would just do and then occasionally I'd have to read a whole lot. I don't know. How far are you in your script? Have you written a whole manuscript, or for anything but fun?
For anything but fun, that's done. Which is really fun, and I imagine I'll get to start working with the editors soon and polishing all of that up, which is really, really exciting, because I really like collaborating, and I feel like it's great for me to have someone else's kind of ideas to include. I feel like, you know, from working in performing arts forever, like everything is so collaborative, and I feel like I just love having other ideas that don't necessarily end up in the manuscript, but that really spark a lot of other things for me personally. I did a whole bunch of edits for my agent, because she's very hands-on in that editorial sense. And so when I signed with her, I had to do like a full outline, piecing together some new sort of scenes and smoothing out some character arcs and stuff. And she basically wouldn't let me start any of the writing until we had really locked in this clear outline, which was a really, really tough experience, to be honest. And I there was one point where I almost just buried my head in a pillow and cried, because I was just like, the whole thing is falling apart now. You know, when you pull one thread, you're just like, well, the whole story is terrible now. Yes. But it was a real challenge, but it worked out so well, and some of the new scenes that came about from those discussions with my agent are my absolute favorite scenes in the book that just didn't exist before, which is really interesting. And because they're also the freshest scenes, when I read the whole thing now, I get to them and I'm like, oh my god, this is so fun. Like, it feels like I didn't even write it. Like, it feels like it came from somewhere else. It's really cool.
Aww. Yeah, it's good to trust. It's hard. It is hard to trust them that you need to do this and that you've got to go and add and take away and chop and But yeah, it definitely always works out. And sometimes it takes me a while to see what they mean. Like, I'll, if it's something big, I'll be like, but why? And then now I'll be like, oh, that's why. Glad I believed you on that, because
exactly. Which is great when you get to that point. I feel like that sort of first really big change that someone asks you to make, you do get very defensive and you're like, but no, like, this is already really good. But then once you see the product afterwards, then I feel like you really can trust them when they keep saying other stuff, because you're like, you were right then, I'm sure you'll always be right. It's a really interesting relationship, but I love that dynamic.
Yeah. Do you find everyone, I don't know, this is a weird thing, but the performing arts, like, when I was in academia, where everyone's like hard and they're a little bit like, they're not gentle with edits, they don't be nice, there's nothing nice in there at all. And I guess from the sound of, I don't know if you did ballet, but before that sort of stuff, it doesn't sound like anyone's bothering to be particularly nice either. And so when it comes to editing and everyone's so lovely, it's kind of like, great, why would I have a problem?
Yeah. It's, I guess, in performing it can go either way. There are some people who are really great at giving notes and feedback in a really constructive and lovely way. And there are other people that are just soul crushing in their delivery, which, is always really interesting to navigate. But yeah, I think generally people are quite nice these days, but nowhere near as nice as editors and agents and stuff, who are just so lovely. And everyone in publishing is the same. Like, it's such a beautiful industry. Everyone is just so nice and loves books and is really helpful. And it's almost disconcerting, because you're like, why are you being so nice to me?
Yeah, you do get a little bit like, what do you really mean? And then when you find out they just really meant that, and you think, oh, that's a bit simple. Now, before we run out of time, though, I didn't ask you, are you allowed to share the pitch for your book? Because I wasn't sure, because it's for next year.
Yeah.
You are? Oh.
Yeah. The book is about a 16-year-old ballet dancer, Luca Mason, who is on track for a pretty phenomenal career in ballet, until he falls down a flight of stairs at his ballet studio and shatters the bones in his left foot. And so it's basically a career-ending injury. It's not really something that you can recover from, to a professional level. So he basically has to say goodbye to ballet. And he, is in a big cast, he's on crutches, he moves schools. It's a kind of full upheaval of his entire life as he knows it. And he has to start to sort of figure out his identity without ballet. And he spends a lot of time at an occupational therapist. And there he meets the school captain and kind of rowing golden boy of his new school, Jordan. And they develop a kind of very unlikely friendship, bonding over their injuries and that sort of stuff. And then, it all goes from there. It sounds kind of grim, but it's actually quite a fun story.
I believe you. I believe you.
Yeah, it's funny, but there's some sad bits that make me cry still. But it's generally a positive and kind of nice tale of, I guess, self-discovery kind of situation.
Oh, and we have to know though. But did you shatter bones in your foot? Because that would haunt me if I don't know for sure.
No, I did not, but I had.
Okay.
I basically had the mild version of that injury.
Okay.
With the same thing with a staircase. It was in the middle of a performance of Cats, and at the start of Cats, you enter through the audience, and we were in Perth, and there's these big aisles that go down through the centre of the auditorium at the Burthwood in Perth. I think it's called the Crown Theatre now, actually. And so you run down the stairs and you're like trying to scare the audience basically as a cat at the very start through the overture. And I was looking at someone and the steps were like really annoying. They were like 2 steps and then a little landing and then 3 steps and then a landing and then 4 and then 2, and they were really uneven, so it was really hard to judge on your way down. And so I missed a step and kind of landed on my foot a very awkward way, and it twisted, and I kind of tore some ligaments and stuff. And then, but I was only like a quarter of the way to the stage, so I had to hobble the whole way onto the stage and then backstage and lie on the floor and be like, help me, someone. And it was, it was pretty awful. And the recovery was fine. We had a brilliant physio and doctors and stuff, and I only had a few weeks off, but it ended up being quite a long recovery period to get me properly, back on that foot. But then, there's a version of that injury where the ligaments snap and tear pieces of bone apart as well, which is the one that Luca has in the book, which is
that's lovely.
Very mean of me, but
Did you see? Yeah. Again, I know, and we need to stop. Did you see the episode of Kimmy Schmidt where Titus Andronicus it's not cats, but they are cats. They're just, and he comes through he's not in the show, so he decides to get on stage. He dresses up, and then as they come through the audience, he joins them, and then he just gets on stage, and they just let him join. And then out the back, they're like,
oh my God.
They're like a cult, and they're like, that's how we all joined. What do you mean? This is the only way in. And it's really silly.
Sounds about right for cats, to be honest.
It's so funny. Anyway, it's been such an amazing thing to actually meet you. I'm so glad you agreed to come on.
Yes, so lovely. Thank you.
Anyway, and good luck next year. I'll see you again when your book comes out, hopefully.
Yes, let's hope.
Okay, thanks.
Yay. Bye.
Really glad.